Hey, what's up everybody? TechChucker here, and we're going to do a quick comparison of each of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure sets that I have in the 1/12 scale, roughly, realm. I do have some other scale turtles, but these are the 1/12 scales that I am going to do a comparison of, and we've got the San Diego Comic-Con 1990s version, we've got the DC Collectibles Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, we've got the Eastman Laird KO Neca version, and then we've got the Neca cartoon and the SH Figuarts cartoon versions that we're going to do a quick side-by-side comparison of each so that you can see them all together. Main thing that we're going to focus on is going to be articulation, but we are going to do a side-by-side comparison for paint and sculpt really quickly. But I think the articulation part is the part that most people would be interested in. So let's go ahead and get started.
Big addition.
Alright, we're going to do the sculpt and paint comparisons really quickly, each character next to their own characters, and we're going to keep them all in the same order based off of the company and the actual title that they are with. So the Eastman Laird, the DC Collectibles Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the San Diego Comic-Con Gamestop exclusive 1990s movie version, and the SH Figuarts cartoon and Neca cartoon versions all together. Here is the front sides. Let's give them a quick turn to give you the side profiles. You can see there are definite paint differences between each of these. Even the tone of green is very different, and the way that the shells are done are very different, especially between these two. You can see that the Neca cartoon one has a far bigger shell than the SH Figuarts ones. And here are the Leonardos. The one thing that I do want to point out is that the DC Collectibles one is the only set that has entirely different sculpt for each character, which is pretty awesome. All of the others, each character uses the exact same body mold, and some of them even use pretty much the same head sculpt, which is a little bit disappointing, but you know, it's not the end of the world. I just really like the fact that we get unique body sculpts for each of these. You know, they each have some little differences, but namely it's in the paint that differentiates them, and it really revolves around the actual bandanas is what, you know, differentiates them, aside from if you had the original non-KO version, which is all red. And here are your Mikeys. Again, this one has lots of differences, especially with the DC Collectibles one being considerably shorter, and he's also considerably shorter than his own turtles from his own wave. But you can see all of them, for the most part, are the same. Differences in orange tones. This one's almost yellow. This is a very dark, rich orange, and this also is fairly dark and rich. And this one is a much lighter, and this one is a little bit darker. Again, those are some differences that might be just nitpicky or whatever, but those are some of the differences that you are going to see with the Mikeys from each different set. And last but not least is the Donatellos, and again, very different sculpt for the DC Collectibles one. And he also has the panel lining, which this one does not have. This guy has panel lining from the DC Collectibles set. The KO versions, they also have panel lining on them. If you got the GameStop exclusive, came with the little straps for his bow staff. When it comes to the likeness of whatever medium that they are coming from, they all are pretty well spot on. Though I have to say, the Neca cartoon is far closer than the SH Figuarts one, but all around for accuracy, I think the Neca San Diego Comic-Con GameStop exclusive is pretty much the closest to the accuracy of their particular medium. The articulation really is the biggest difference, and I really wish that I had the Reveltech Turtles to be able to add into this comparison, because I know that they are very highly articulated, just as the SH Figuarts ones are as well. And the kind of growing consensus is that the SH Figuarts ones are the best articulated. And the reason I'm doing this video is I really wanted to just be able to verify that that is the truth. The articulation on the DC Collectibles ones are the only ones that are really that different within the series of figures. So I don't think I'm going to show every single, different character, because we don't really need to see all the Leonardos and whatnot from this wave, this wave, this wave, or this wave, because they're all the same. So I'll just show you where they are different. Starting off with the head articulation, let's just see how far each of them is able to look up. The SH Figuarts, the San Diego Comic-Con, and this one are looking up the most. The least are these two. We already know that the DC Collectibles ones, they don't look up at all, and then this Neca one is also pretty disappointing. Side to side, all of them are able to look side to side, so we're not going to bother with that. How about tilt? Can they tilt side to side? Pretty much we're getting the same results, except I'm going to say the SH Figuarts one is a little bit less than these two. Now this one, it's really because there is two joints in the neck. That is what is giving us that extra amount of tilt on him, but you can get him into a pretty dynamic pose there in the neck. But again, this San Diego Comic-Con one is really nailing it. Now, at least the cartoon version from Neca is a little bit better than it was for looking up, but I am a hair disappointed that this one didn't go further. All right, here we go with looking down, and this is the clear winner. He can look all the way down. It is straight down, and again, that is because of that fully articulated neck piece. Now, this particular one, he can look down a fair amount. The SH Figuarts one also doing pretty good. This one isn't too bad. Again, DC Collectibles doesn't do anything. And arms straight out, we will say that the SH Figuarts one definitely nails it for this. It gets farther than every single other figure by a long shot. And how about elbows? SH Figuarts again comes in the lead with being able to bend a little bit more than 90 degrees, but all of the rest are pretty well at 90 degrees. And then wrist articulation, I will say that it's kind of a tie between the Neca Eastman Laird. Now he has a hinge, and then the DC Collectibles, which has a ball hinge. Now, not all of the DC Collectibles have as good of a wrist articulation. This one has a kind of a ball hinge-ish, and then this one has a ball hinge, and then this one also has a hinge. I would say this one is the most disappointing, because this one I would think could have gone further, but it is what it is, I guess. But I'm gonna give it to these two for the best wrist articulation. All right, this next one is kind of interesting. It is arms straight out without really bending the elbows. How much kind of butterfly range do they have? And it is a clear winner with SH Figuarts, and then this one coming in at a very close second to be able to cross those arms. Now, when it comes to aesthetics using it, this one I would say is far superior than the SH Figuarts one, because it looks like his elbows are popping out, or his shoulders are popping out. It's very complex, but still, it is very, very good with the SH Figuarts. Now, the San Diego Comic-Con one is doing pretty darn well. This one, not so much. And this one, also not so great. The kicking forward action, now I have to hold this guy because I just cannot get him to stand on one foot. They are all nearly equal. The DC Collectibles one is probably the worst out of all of them for standing on one foot and kicking forward. Now, the Eastman Laird one, his foot, the hip goes out a lot. So when you're pushing that up, you really have to open those legs up a lot to be able to go there. The one that I actually am most disappointed with, though, is the SH Figuarts one. With how much articulation they have, he's really only able to kick forward that far, and it just doesn't look that great. But because he's got those die-cast, shins, that really helps him to be able to stand and balance so much better. So it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, you don't have that great of articulation, but he balances so much easier. But I will say that the Neca cartoon one is doing really well with being able to kick forward as far as he is. Same with the movie one. Now, the legs all pretty much go out a little bit as you kick them forward. They're all pretty decent. Even this one, it's not terrible, but it certainly could be better. All of them can do the splits for the most part, but I will say that the SH Figuarts one is the most limited when it comes to the splits, and their ankle articulation is pretty close to some of the worst. It just is not very good. So this is as far as he can go. No feet flat on the floor. This is as far as his ankles are going to go. I would say next worst is going to be the Eastman Laird version, which they can do better splits, but the ankles just don't turn near as much as that one. So we'll put him all the way in the back. I will put this one here. Actually, I think I'm going to put the SH Figuarts one even worse than him because he can't do the splits and he can't move his ankles. Then the next one is going to have to be the Neca one. Now, he can do a full split. His crotch is almost touching the floor, but again, ankle is pretty terrible on there. And then really the two contenders are going to be this movie one and then the DC Collectibles one. I'm going to say that the movie one is going to take the crown for best hip articulation for splits, feet flat on the floor, and then the DC Collectibles. And most of the DC Collectibles figures will just bring in Donatello. They can pretty much do the splits almost entirely. And the articulation on the ankles is decent. Now you have to turn it at a weird angle, but they all can get into those really dynamic splits positions. Now Mikey is a little bit tougher because he's got the nunchuck holders on his belt, but if you kind of force it, you can definitely get them there. So I would say that, especially for the surprising factor, is the fact that the articulation on the hips for these DC Collectibles figures is almost superior to all of the other figures, aside from the fact that these hips get very, very loose. That's my biggest gripe. But take a look at the range of motion for these. It is really quite good. And then the knees, pretty much all of them can get 90 degrees or more. I would say that as far as the knee going over 90 degrees, the SH Figuarts and the Neca cartoon, they're about tied for range of motion. Possibly the SH Figuarts is going a little bit further, but when it comes to ankle going back, definitely this one is far superior to either of these two. And then these two are still pretty darn good for being able to get those ankles back pretty far, which is nice. So again, I'm not saying that the SH Figuarts one isn't good. You can see I had to use some ticky-tack to get this one to stand because his feet are just too narrow. But it's just not as good as I think people think it is, especially when it comes to the leg articulation. And how about the ankle articulation, moving it forward? I'm actually really pleased and surprised as to how well the San Diego Comic-Con GameStop exclusive is doing. He's able to get that foot forward a decent amount, but look at this one over here. That is really good and very surprising. The DC Collectibles one, not very good on this one. Now, some of the others have a little bit better. We'll take a look at Mikey here. That one's not better. I thought there was one that was a little bit better. Let's take a look at Donatello. No, none of them are better. So we've got the best that they've got out here anyway. The SH Figuarts one, not great, but it is the only one in the series of turtles that I have that has a toe articulation. That helps a lot with this ankle articulation being not so great. And then the Neca cartoon one, this one actually is pretty decent. It could be better, but I'm going to say these two are the clear winners when it comes to that ankle articulation. All of them have thigh swivels of some sort, and they're all decent, so I'm not really going to showcase that. None of them really have any torso articulation that is worth anything, so we're not going to talk too much about that. Now, this one has tail articulation. None of them really have tails, so we're not going to talk about that too much. So which set is the best for articulation? I'm going to say it's kind of a toss-up because it all depends on what is most important for you. Is it lower body, being able to do those really dynamic kicks and crouching positions, or is it upper body with being able to get arms into specific positions? If it's upper body, I would say the SH Figuarts is definitely one of the tops, but this one certainly is also doing very well with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Eastman Laird is pretty decent all around. So, you know, that's the surprise here, is that this one is really quite good. And this one, aside from the bad head articulation, if it wasn't for that, these DC Collectibles ones would be right in the running with all of them, in my opinion. And this Neca one is decent enough, but I don't know. If it's just articulation you're looking for, this one's not amazing. None of them are really amazing in my book. None of them are. This one is the biggest surprise to me, as is this one. So, you know, you got to make that choice. What is going to be the most important piece of this for you? All right, and accessories. You can see we've got a whole pile of these accessories. There's reviews out there. Go check out if you want a detailed description of what accessories each particular figure comes with. We're just going to talk mostly about the quantities. And so I've got this situated so that I've got the Eastman Laird Neca set here, the DC Collectibles Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles accessories here. This is the GameStop SDCC Neca 1990s movie set. This is the Neca cartoon set, and then this is the SH Figuarts set. Clearly, if we're just talking about quantity of accessories, the Figuarts has the most. And a lot of it is because of all of the hands. Every single figure comes with the same set of alternate hands. So I don't even remember how many they came with, but it was a lot. You can see there's just a ton of them here. The only two sets that come with alternate heads are the Figuarts and the DC Collectibles, which is something of note. The other thing of note is the fact that the DC Collectibles one comes with this skateboard, which is pretty cool. Two of them, these both come with little manhole covers, which is kind of cool. The set that comes with the least is the Eastman Laird, and they just come with their traditional weapons that we would expect. All of these sets come with their traditional weapons. So Leo has his swords, or his katanas. Raph comes with his sais. Now, I broke mine from the Figuarts set, but that's because I was being rough with them trying to get this ready. Some of the unique things that the sets come with, the Neca cartoon set comes with the little turtle communicators that only the SH Figuarts comes with one, and they only come with just this one single one, which is a bit of a bummer, except for the fact that we get so many accessories. Now, both of these two sets come with the turtle grappling hook thing, which is pretty cool. I like that. Two sets of nunchucks for the Michelangelo from the SH Figuarts, so you could have this kind of action posed one. The problem is they're not even remotely similar, so that's kind of a bummer, but it's not a big deal. The nunchucks for Mikey over here are kind of a bummer. I don't really care for how those turned out. They were a little bit better, I think, in the, the GameStop one. You get a couple of additional bandanas, whereas on the Figuarts set, you have to share bandanas between the heads, so you have to swap them out, which is a bit of a bummer. This set comes with this really cool nunchuck spinning effect, which is awesome. It is the only set that I know of that comes with that. But otherwise, I mean, you know, there's a smattering of different options within all of these. So if accessories are really important to you, you know, you can decide how you want to go with that. I would say, you know, it's not necessarily about the number of accessories, because the number of accessories is pretty high with the Figuarts set, but that's just hands. I would say some of these others are pretty cool as well. So I thought it might be of interest for you guys to see. This Canister of Ooze, I do not recall which set it came with. So somebody let me know in the comments below which set it comes with. I know this one came with the Neca one. It looks like it would go with the Figuarts ones, but I could not figure out who it was. So let me know in the comments below who did this one come with. And then the last thing to talk about really with these sets is the longevity or the continuance of the set. Are we getting more from these different waves of turtles? There are some that are still going on and some that seem to be pretty much dead. The Neca Eastman Laird set does not look like they're going to be doing anything else from that wave, so there's no new turtles coming from that. The 1990s movie set from Neca, we're getting the Shredder and Splinter set with the 2 foot soldiers. Who knows if we're going to get more, but that's still a fairly recent development with those, so that line still seems to be alive. The DC Collectibles set, though the series is, you know, done for this first wave, we have not heard that I know of if there's going to be new figures coming from that. I've heard rumblings that there will be, so there's a potential that that set will continue. We know for sure that the Neca cartoon series is continuing on because we are getting some more. We're getting April O'Neil, we're getting Casey Jones, supposed to be spring of 2020, so that is super exciting. Now with the SH Figuarts series, we had seen a picture at a San Diego Comic-Con reveal ages ago that there was going to be a Shredder, and nothing has ever come of that. So no idea if that's actually going to happen or not. All right, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. I really wish that I had the Reveltech set to be able to compare those with these figures as well. I have a feeling their articulation might have been able to beat the Figuarts articulation easily, but I have no idea. I've never had them in hand. I would love to be able to get them at a decent price. I don't want to get the KO version. I'd like to get the regular version, and you can usually get them at retail price because they were re-released, but you know, I've got all these other things that I'm buying. So unless somebody wants to send me a set for review and I'll send it back or whatever, those are going to have to wait until I have plenty of money. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite set? What set are you excited for to continue? What do you wish you could see from a set that we've never seen before? You know, just let me know in the comments below what you're thinking. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you are notified of my next video. And I will see you next time.